What's up, y'all? This is Vlad. This weekend, Lifetime premiered their Michel'le biopic, Surviving Compton. In honor of that, we're bringing back our Michel'le interview in its entirety. This will fill in the blanks from Surviving Compton, as well as discussing a lot of incredible stories from Michel'le herself. So sit back and enjoy. Michel'le, what's good?
Everything.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. My chair's gonna squeak.
Now,
Are you worried about that?
That's cool.
It's okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all good. So you grew up in Compton?
No.
No, you did not grow up in Compton.
I did not grow up in Compton.
Okay.
I got to hang out a lot in Compton because Eazy-E was from Compton.
So you grew up in?
South Central.
South Central. When did you first start singing?
Professionally?
Just, you know.
Second grade.
Second grade.
I was in the second grade.
Okay. So, at what point did you know that maybe singing was going to be something that you could do seriously?
When I got about 14.
Okay.
Then I thought, well, this is how I'm going to get out of the hood.
Okay.
Because I didn't know you could get rich. I just knew that every time you saw somebody on TV, they were in this exotic place singing. And I thought, well, at least I'll get to tour.
Okay.
I'll get out of here.
Okay.
But I didn't know you could make money.
Your voice when you speak is quite a bit different than your voice when you sing. Was that something you always knew, or was that something you kind of stumbled across in the beginning?
I stumbled across it in second grade.
Because
I was quite quiet for the first 5 or 6 years of my life. I just shook my head. No, yes, I didn't talk.
Was it because you were insecure about your voice, or?
Probably just a really super shy kid and just wasn't verbal and didn't know. They sent my mom when I got in kindergarten. They told her to take me to a psychiatrist because I wasn't communicating.
Okay.
So they thought something was wrong.
Okay.
And so I went and he gave me this little game and I did it and he says, well, I don't know what's wrong with her, but she's not crazy. So.
Sure. So, you started singing in the second grade. By the time you were 14, were you kind of developed as a singer at that point, or still just playing around with it?
I was just singing in the bathroom, wouldn't let nobody really see me sing. My brother was in a band, so I wouldn't want to play. I'd rather watch them rehearse. And I asked my parents if I could get lessons, piano or something.
Right.
And they just seemed to always butt heads about who was going to pay for it and everything. So it kind of dampened my dream. You know, parents can be dream crushers. And so I just said, oh, well. So I started entering in talent shows. And then I started winning. I was coming in third, coming in second, coming in first. And I was like only 13, 14 years old catching buses by myself to get to these places.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden my parents, they had to buy me an outfit and they were just butting heads. So I just said one day I'm going to make it by myself.
Sure.
Now,
why do you think that your voice is so much deeper when you sing than when you talk? Because you have somewhat of a deep singing voice.
Because I talk over my larynx, that's number one. And number two, when you sing, don't you sing from down here in your diaphragm and when you're in the shower? I know you do.
Not so much. I know. See, I've been around so much music that I know exactly how bad I am. So I'm awful. Yeah, I'm an awful singer.
But when you get in the shower, you do hear the difference in tone.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So it's really from your diaphragm.
Yeah. And since it's something that I can't sing in this key because it just sounds god awful.
Okay.
But I've been in vocal classes learning to sing in this key.
Ah, okay. Because really, whenever I heard you, you've always sang much lower.
Oh, always.
Always.
Because it's what I know.
Sure.
It's what I cultivated. Now I'm trying to cultivate, I want to do different things now.
Sure. Now, how did you and Dr. Dre originally meet?
At 16, they were in the World Class Wrecking Crew,
right.
And they had a lead singer. Her name was Mona Lisa. I finally remembered her name.
Yeah.
Mona Lisa, and they were local, they were big locally, World Class Wrecking Crew, and she couldn't make it one night. And so Lonzo called me to fill in, and I did, and I was 16, and I just walked in the studio, waved to them, and Dre was the engineer/producer, and they gave me a piece of paper and said, sing this. So I had to make up the melody and everything, because, I didn't tell him I wasn't a professional. It was my first time in the studio and everything, but I didn't say anything. And that's when I first met him. And the only ones were there was him and Ren and Lonzo.
Wait, so Ren was already?
Well, Ren, was it Ren? Wait a minute. It was
Yella.
It was Yella. I'm sorry, Yella,
Yeah.
Dre, and Lonzo.
Okay.
And they, because they're on the record. And Arabian Prince came through or something, but then he didn't stay.
Sure.
But, yes, and that's when I first saw him, but it was just, okay, I did it in one take and said goodbye.
I remember seeing or reading an interview like a long time ago with Dre, and he was saying how like you walked in with like the high-pitched voice, and they were like who is this? And then like, but once you got in the booth, they were like, whoa.
Yeah, that was Dre's reaction, was just like, until Lonzo just gave me the paper, and and then Dre was like, oh, that's what he said. And but other than that, other than me saying, okay, thank you, goodbye, that was it. That was our first initial scene of, and then after that, Lonzo started having me come to his house because he had a studio. Mm-hmm. And then I got to see, that's when I would see the rest of them because they were working on still World Class Wrecking Crew, finishing that song. And then they were developing their N.W.A. stuff.
Okay.
And that's when I saw, and I would but all I would say was hi.
Sure. Now that first song you did, was that Turn Off the Lights?
Turn Off the Lights.
Okay. And you did that hook?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you get paid for it all, or that was just...
No. It was on the radio 2 weeks later, and I'm still riding the bus to go to work and school.
I guess back then you don't know about contracts.
Because that's what I'm saying. I didn't know you could get.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could get rich.
Sure.
I had no clue. Had I known that song, but you have to remember, once I got on the record, it went around the world.
Yeah.
Which I was very proud about later on when I learned, oh my God, you guys really, they're saying I'm part of the World Class Wrecking Crew. Yeah. I wasn't, but
yeah.
I never told them no.
Sure. Now the World Class Wrecking Crew at one point broke up, and N.W.A. was formed.
And he was forming N.W.A.
Okay. Now, what was your role during that whole transition kind of period? Were you still in contact with Dre and stuff like that?
That was the funny part, because I think Dre and Eazy had like a bet. Dre would call me every morning at 9 a.m. and Eazy would call me every morning like about 9:20 to 9:30. And I'm thinking, what game is this? But they would just call and say, hello, how are you doing? And I would go, I'm fine, I'm on my way off to work, because it took me 3 buses. So that was it, and we did that for weeks, and they never said anything. They never said, we want to go out with you, or nothing to that effect. So I was like, I said, oh my God, they probably just want to, and see who could. I thought it was a bet.
Okay.
So eventually, I really did, and so eventually, Dre said, yeah, you want to go hang out? Finally, after weeks of doing that, and I said, yeah, okay, we'll go hang out. And I think we were joined at the hip from then on. Okay.
Now, you think Eazy was interested in you as well? Or?
I think they just had this game to see. You know how guys are. I know what it was. Eventually, I kind of went, I think this is, yeah.
Gotcha. So you and Dre started to date at that point?
Yes.
Okay. You guys became serious?
Very.
Very serious. Okay.
Yes.
So, at what point between you guys starting to date and you actually getting signed to Ruthless Records and then putting out your album and so forth?
Almost a year, because Dre didn't ask me to sign, Eazy did. Eazy said, don't you? He just one day came in the office, and I'm waiting because they were going over some N.W.A. stuff. And with Jerry was there, and he said, don't you sing? And I said, well, yeah, because I've been doing hooks and have been doing skits and everything, especially on the Compton swap meet. Remember those tapes? I'm all over those. So he was like, don't you sing? And I said, yeah, but I was quiet still. I wasn't talkative. And he said, yeah, so then he said, you want to sign? And so I looked up at Dre, because I always look for approval. I really didn't talk unless and he said, you want to? And I went, okay.
and then
that was it.
That's how the deal was. So you didn't have lawyers or anything else like that? You just put a contract in front of you?
I totally trusted Jerry because I saw how well he was taking care of, you know, everybody. We were kids from the ghetto. We were young kids.
Yeah.
You know, to me, he took us and he embraced us.
Sure.
So,
Now, you know, a lot of people, you know, had negative things to say about Jerry Heller.
how can you? He gambled on us.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you gamble and you spend a lot of money, you got to make what you want back. He took a big chance on us. We were driving $60,000, $70,000 cars from catching buses to even Dr. Dre having no car at all. Come on, you want something.
So Jerry Heller was actually putting money into the label, like his own money, or?
Well, him and Eazy, you know, Eazy. They want to say he was selling dope. I don't know what he was selling out of his thing, but it was working.
Sure.
You know, I don't know what it was, but I know he was selling tapes out of the trunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, what was it like during those early N.W.A. days? You
Family.
know? Yeah? You liked it?
Loved it. Everybody, we piggybacked. We helped each other. When DOC came into the picture, we just was a family. You know, there was no animosity, no jealousy. And then it eventually crept in. But in the beginning, no, it was beautiful.
Sure.
We wanted to get up and go to the studio. We wanted to go see Jerry today. You know what I mean? He just took good care of us. I mean, they could say what they want. I mean, you know.
No, I got you. So you signed after about a year of, you know.
Yeah, and I got $8,000. That's a lot of money for a girl from the hood.
Right.
Right, at one time.
That was the biggest check you ever
That
had.
was the biggest check I'd ever gotten.
What'd you spend it on?
Actually, I put it in the bank because Jerry was very good about, you know, what we didn't and did need.
Yeah.
And I put it in the bank.
Okay. So how long after you signed did your first album come out?
The next year.
So it took about a year.
It took about 7 months because DOC came into the play. You know, when DOC came in, he kind of moved me back a little bit because DOC was hot. He was on fire.
Right.
So I got moved out 2.5, 3 months, and he finished his album in that little bit of time. DOC did his whole album in about 2.5, 3 months.
Now, Dre did your whole album?
Yep.
Okay.
And DOC's.
And DOC's album. I mean, really, he was doing everyone's albums, pretty much. Like, how involved was Yella in the production?
He was. You know what? Yella was in those crates. And by the time Dre got to the studio, listen to this, listen to this, listen to this. I mean, he was finding beats all the time, and Dre was either go ahead, nah, oh no, and then Dre will get over there and he'll go through the crates, and it was like a little back and forth who could find the best beat that day, and it was beautiful.
Sure.
Because we would all be like, yeah, that was good, that was good. And
Sure.
then DOC would come and go, no, I like this one, I like this one, and they would argue about the beat for a while. It was fun.
Okay. Now, your album comes out, and you had, you know, 2 big records on there. You had Nice Tea and No More.
Singles. I had 5 singles.
5 singles.
5 singles, 5 videos, all gold, and
My mistake.
it was great.
Nice Tea was my favorite song, by the way.
And it was gold.
that
I
my
was
shit.
I was flying out with singles, and then Jerry go, oh, we gotta stop with the singles and start pushing the albums because everything we were dropping was just going gold like this. And so, and it was fun because I had N.W.A, the leverage of being linked with rap. At the same time, I was R&B. So at one point, they started telling me, okay, don't say you're a rapper. Don't say you're from rap. Because rap was getting, you know, Congress was getting in. That's really bad about it. And so they were just saying, just say you're an R&B, okay? And I said, but I'm not.
Now, you know, when you looked at, you know, in retrospect, you know, you had a deal, you got $8,000 up front. But, you know, were you making good money off of all those singles being sold and the touring and the album sales and stuff like that?
You know, at the time, I don't think we really understood the small print and the thing. But as far as us not needing for anything and being taken care of, we were doing better than we were. So we had a 3-4 bedroom home. We drove the cars we wanted, which, you know, and we were eating.
Right.
So we probably weren't. A funny story. I don't think I've told this story. Dre was, we were living together by this point. I had an apartment. And then he said, well, you're here all the time. You may as well move in. So, because he had his own big house. I moved in his big house. And so one day he calls Jerry and he goes, yeah, man, you know, I need to pay my bills. I don't have any money. So Jerry goes, what are you talking about, Dre? And Dre goes, man, I just need to pay my bills. So he told him, he says, no, you've been getting your checks. So Dre, I didn't go in Dre's personal mail.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have that kind of relationship. That was, to me, it was Dre's money and what Dre made, and if we shared, great.
Yeah.
Dre goes and we get the mail, and there's like 8 checks for so much money that royalties that he didn't open his mail. So Jerry was like, see? It was amazing. I was like, we've been sitting on all this money. But you know what we weren't? We weren't frivolous spenders. Like, we didn't care about Fucci, Gucci, and Poochie because we didn't know anything about that. Dre loved sweatsuits, Adidas, and black clothes jeans from the swap meet. I didn't even have a Louis Vuitton. I didn't even know what a Louis Vuitton purse looked like. So we weren't spending our money. You know what I mean? We just knew we wanted a nice car. And we were happy.
Sure. I mean, those albums did sell. I mean, you're talking about 5 gold singles, and the album went gold, platinum? Platinum. So you're talking about millions of dollars.
We did, right. And we didn't have attorneys to look into that until later.
Right. And then when you looked at it until later, did it get fixed, or it just was what it was?
Well, no, that's when Suge Knight came in and said, let me show you all, he had a meeting with Dre and said, let me show you your contract, and explained it to him. And I think, from what I could get, I think Dre was more hurt because him and Eazy were really close.
So, how close were you and Eazy during this time?
We were about as close as you could say. I respected him and he respected me.
Okay.
I shouldn't have been any closer to him. That
No,
was
I don't mean in that sense. Yeah, I mean, you guys were all friends and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
What were some of the more interesting Eazy kind of stories do you remember during this time?
Well, my favorite, funniest story was when he lived in this house. He had this house. I shot my video, Keep Watching, at his house. It was a beautiful home on a cul-de-sac and everything. And we get there, and there's like, before we get to set up, because you know we had to go in and get ready, and like all these girls are coming out one by one. You know, I'm sitting in the car and I'm just watching them come, and I'm thinking, was he shooting a video or what's going on in there? No, he was just clearing out the house for us to go in. I swear I must have counted 7.
7 girls.
I was like, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 beautiful women. Yeah. So that was very interesting to me because he just seemed so quiet and you know, and I was like, whoa.
Eazy loved the ladies.
Yeah.
They loved him back.
That's when I knew. I was like, okay. I started really getting it.
What was it like, you know, being on Ruthless when like Fuck the Police came out, and you know there was that, you know, the FBI I think sent like try to stop the record, and someone else came in, because I just talked to Yellow recently. Yellow was here like a couple of weeks ago, so we talked about that whole thing. So what was it like dealing with law enforcement, being the Fuck the Police group?
Well, it wasn't that bad when we made it, but once it got out there and then the FBI, that's what made it totally different. You know, that's what made it big, because the FBI sent us a letter that we can't say that.
Oh really?
Oh yeah. And then another agency sends them a letter, you know, telling them that they can't do that because they are Fifth Amendment or whatever, you know, whatever it is. Yeah. But,
interesting.
But yeah, the FBI is the one that blew it up.
By them trying to stop it.
Yeah.
It was counterproductive.
That's what made, just like the MTV banning the video. That made it just boom.
Everyone wanted to see the video that you can't watch on
Yep.
MTV. Okay. From your perspective, what was the climate, you know, at Ruthless like during that time?
It was fun because they wanted to go against the grain like every chance they got. They were told, do not sing F the Police anymore on the shelves. Yeah. And what they would do is get up there and they would make it the last song and they would break out into it and we would run out of the building. So it became fun because they didn't care. They were like, no, you know, the fans want this.
Right. And you were on tour with them when they
I
were
did
going
a few. Of course, I did. I went out a couple times with him, but it was too dangerous. It became where he was like, "You gotta stay here. You gotta stay home," because it did. They were literally running out of venues, and he would leave me, and then he would look back and go, "Where is she?" And I would walk like I was just a regular person, because they didn't. You know, I wasn't in all black.
Right.
So
you didn't have the Raiders hat on.
No, but they had to come back and get me.
Right. Now, what was it like when Ice Cube left? Because he was the first person to leave.
I think that that was more an emotional time for Dre because he was just telling the man, just stay, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna get to figure it out. We all gonna make it. We gonna get there.
Right.
But I just think he had his own reasons for whatever they are, because I don't know. I just know it was about money, of course.
Yeah.
It was about the attorney, not us having anybody to fight for our sides. And he came and he voiced his opinion. And Dre just said, but man, we came, just hold tight. But
Right.
he just didn't. And he had every right to.
Right. Well, because Ice Cube was the main writer, pretty much.
Pretty
I
much.
mean, granted, Ren wrote and stuff like that, but like, Ice Cube writes the rhymes that I say. Like, he wrote Boys in the Hood,
Right.
he wrote Gangsta Gangster, he
yeah.
wrote a lot of
the stuff.
A lot of Eazy's rhymes. I
Yeah.
think D.O.C. at one point started
And then
rhyming as
D.O.C. came in and he started
Yeah.
pinning,
well. Okay. So,
And he probably wanted a bigger piece of the pie. I mean,
Yeah.
when you figure, hey,
yeah, I'm writing all
I'm
this
writing
stuff.
this stuff, and of
Yeah.
course he had every right.
Sure. What was it like, when 100 Miles of Running came out, and then like, that was the first shots that, N.W.A. took against Ice Cube.
Yeah, but Cube did a good. No Vaseline, come on, it was tip for tat, but it was great. It
Yeah.
was fun. I mean, it wasn't violent at that point. It was fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It was hip hop.
It was hip hop, and
Yeah.
it wasn't violent. So
I mean, were people, was Ruthless all kind of angry at Ice Cube for leaving them, and then,
because Dre's motto always was, success is the best. He said success is the best revenge.
Okay.
That was, he never, I don't think I saw him get really angry about it. I think it hurt, to be honest with you, I really think it hurt him because they started out together and they were friends,
Yeah. You and Ice Cube were friends?
Everybody was friends.
Everybody was friends.
Everybody, we were good friends. I mean, we really were. And I think Dre might have, he didn't take it in a negative way. He just figured, well, you go do your thing and I'm going to do my thing. And
Sure.
as they are still to this day, they're still doing their thing.
Now, you and Dre had a child while
He's
you were
24.
still... Okay, so this happened, just the timeline.
Right at the peak of I just got out, I went on the Hammer Tour and found out I was 6 weeks pregnant.
Okay.
And we had 2 more months to go.
Okay.
So as soon as I had to come home and drop that baby and finish out some more shows, and then I became the stay-at-home mommy, which
Okay.
made my career go skirt.
So you think having the baby definitely slowed you down?
Absolutely, I don't advise it. If you want to be in this business, the baby can take 1.5 years off. You want to bond with your child.
Absolutely.
So it can take some, yeah.
What was your relationship with Dre after you had the child?
It became more strained because now he was able to get up and just go where I couldn't do that anymore. I couldn't follow him anymore, And I think it became more disrespectful because then, if you're not there, somebody else will be. And, he just, I don't know. I don't want to say he wasn't ready to have a baby because he had already just had a baby. When I met him, he had 2 women pregnant. So I'm like, what was I thinking?
Wait, so Dre had 2 women pregnant at the same time?
One baby came, and then when I met him, one was in the belly, and then one had just dropped.
Okay.
So there were 2 babies born, like within a year or so apart of him,
Okay.
and we had just started dating.
Dre had 2 kids, and then he had his 3rd kid with you.
No, he had
no, oh, he had
3. Let's go.
3 already?
3 already.
Uh-huh.
One had just came out, and one was in the belly. That was 5.
Oh.
I
okay.
mine made number 6.
Oh, you had
While
Dre's
I was
6
with
child.
him, he had 2 more. I know.
So that's 8?
Yeah, yes, he did. He got that one pregnant. He sure did. He had to. I don't know. I just guess I cared for him. I know it just doesn't make sense now.
How many kids does Dre have total?
Oh, God, maybe 10, 12.
Really?
Yeah, he's had 3. Well, that's not my business to tell. But he has 2 with his current wife.
Yeah.
And then he adopted her, so that makes 3.
Yeah.
And I'm not mistaken, there's a couple more that came too. So.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned there was some abuse that kind of happened between you and Dre.
Yeah.
How bad did it get?
I had 5 black eyes.
5 black eyes.
Yes.
So you were getting punched in the face and that
Oh,
type of
I was
thing.
getting dragged on the floor, shot at. Yeah.
Shot at? Yeah. What led to the shooting?
You know, we partied. And I guess I don't know what I always did. And I always say, well, it could have been just me. So one day one night we was arguing, he went and got the gun. And I just made it through the bathroom door and he shot at me and he missed me by that much.
So he was trying to hit you?
He almost did.
I mean, if you're talking about,
Yeah.
it's not like he's shooting in the air
Oh,
or
no,
something.
no,
like
he shot at me.
Wow.
Yeah, and the bullet was, and I left, you know what I did? I left the bullet in the hole, and it went out it was in the door, and then it went through the side of the wall in the bathroom, and I left it there for a while, just so he could see it. But he never tried to shoot me anymore. Thank God, but the beatings were, it was a lot. And you know what my grandmother said? Eventually she said, when a man beats you, he doesn't like you. And I said, she said he has women issues, and it starts probably with their mothers. You never know. And I said, you're probably right. So.
Now, at what point did you guys decide to break up?
Oh.
Because it seemed like you stayed.
I did. I tried, and
yeah.
off and on, you know, I would move out. Okay, yes, I would move down the street. Okay, maybe I wasn't trying to get too far away. Okay. But because we always got back together. You know, we've been together for almost a decade. So we would break up. I'd give him 3 months to sow his wild oats or whatever, thinking, well, of course we're going to get back together. And that didn't happen. And I think his last wife, I just couldn't do it anymore. You know, I just said, it's too much. I'd already waited out the babies, the baby mamas, the hookers, the hoes. I was growing up. And I was just going, it's got to be something better.
Sure.
And it wasn't about money because we were never broke.
Right.
I never got with Dre for money because he didn't have a driver's license, a car, or insurance, or a house.
Okay.
We lived with his auntie, who
Wow.
I ended up calling Mommy.
Sure. So was he helping out financially with his child?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that was never an issue.
Well, I had to take him to court, but...
You took him to court.
Well, that's an issue, right?
Yeah.
You should never have to do that.
But, you know...
But now they're great.
I mean, obviously, he has a verifiable income, so, you know, once you went to court...
But I didn't... But if he just would have did the right thing, I wouldn't have needed to go to court.
The D. Barnes incident. Were you there when that happened?
I was his girlfriend. I was at home. It was bad.
Okay. So, Yella kind of explained it to me.
He was there.
Yella was there.
Yes.
So, apparently, D. Barnes had a show, right? Mm-hmm. And she interviewed Ice Cube first, and then N.W.A. second. And whether it was on purpose or not on purpose, it looked like Ice Cube was dissing N.W.A. and it aired that way.
Because of the editing, and she tried to explain it and say it wasn't my fault. I don't have control over that. She wasn't. So, but Dre, you know, he didn't think it was cool because she knew both of them. So he kind of told her, you know, no, it's your fault. You know, he didn't. I mean, later on, I think he came around to it. He just said, but it shouldn't have been done because, you know, they had been friends. And so he just thought that it just didn't look right. But she didn't have editing, you know, so they made it look like it was him dissing, and in fact, he may not have been. But that's how Dre took it, and he took it out on her.
What exactly happened? Because the story's a little hazy.
Oh, the story's not hazy. He just didn't want to say it. They were at a club, and he saw her, and he had a few too many, and he went straight for her. She ran in the girl's bathroom, and he went right after her, and he commenced to beating her. But she did get paid later.
Do you know how much she got paid?
No, but I heard it was enough to quit her job.
Gotcha. And of course, you know, you weren't surprised because of...
Oh, it was normal to me.
At one point, Dre decided to leave N.W.A. and Ruthless.
That's when Suge Knight came and explained that contract.
Suge was DOC's bodyguard at the time.
People keep saying that he was, but Suge was everybody's bodyguard if he was somewhere. And he'll be like, I'm going to watch you tonight, but you going to give me my $300 when we leave. So whoever was there that had some money or had a name, he was their bodyguard. If Mickey Mouse would have been there, he would have been like, Mickey, I got you tonight, but I want my
300.
Yeah, I want my 300.
Okay. But, But was he closer to D.O.C. than other people?
Yeah,
at the time?
he's the reason that we even met him. D.O.C. brought Suge around.
Brought him around.
Yes.
Okay. So Suge started kind of cozying up to Dre, right? No?
That's not how it started. We started noticing that everywhere we went, we saw Suge. I was scared of him. I would tell Dre, I was very quiet back in those days. I didn't tell him, I just get a bad vibe, you know. I didn't care for him. And Dre, we wasn't in his face or nothing, but we just kept noticing everywhere we were, Suge was there. But it dawned on us, he was with Doc, and Doc knew where we was, because Doc was living with us at some point. We had an apartment at this time. And Doc was living with us, and we was like, okay. But it wasn't as much, but we just kind of kept noticing. And the video shoots, he would come to the video shoots. And we were like, And so eventually, Suge needed to find out who made this all go. He knew Cube couldn't do it without Dre. Dre couldn't do it without Yella. So he, as dumb as people say he is, he's just stupid. Because he figured it out. Dre, he makes this band play.
Right.
And that's when he zeroed in on him.
Okay. So he started, at that point he cozied up to Dre. And he started showing him the contracts and so forth.
He went and got an attorney, which is David Kenner.
Yeah.
And he taught him, he showed him how to, because Kenner was not an entertainment, he was a criminal lawyer. He turned into an entertainment, didn't he, real quick? I'm an entertainer lawyer now.
Right.
And
although he still is a criminal lawyer. But
I'm just saying, he learned that entertainment side really quickly.
Sure.
So he was teaching him, explaining what it was. And I think we was getting like 2 cents a record, maybe 5-10 cents a record.
And you should have been getting
a couple dollars. I mean, this man was selling millions of records.
Yeah. No, I feel you. What was, coming home from these meetings with Suge and Kenner and stuff like that, what was Dre's conversation like? What was he saying about Eazy and the situation and so forth?
We didn't talk about that. Dre thing with me was I don't handle the business, I just do the music. Every time I questioned him, he said, I don't do the business. I do the music, and I just would shut up, because I remember when they first got their offices at Interscope Records, and I went and I said, and they were supposed to decorate their offices, and Dre was like, well, I don't need a big office, because I ain't gonna be here. I'm in the studio. So he had his little office, but his carpet was red, and so I went home and I said, should you see your carpet? Because I know that wasn't his favorite color.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. I said, doesn't it bother you? And he was like, nope, I don't do the business. I just make the music.
Make the music. Okay.
That was his motto, so I shut up.
Sure. At what point did Dre say, I want to leave Ruthless?
That part, I'm not sure, but I do know that there was some kind of stories going on about the office meeting with the bats and all that stuff. I'm not clear to, because I wasn't there.
Okay.
So it would be hearsay.
Right.
But,
because the story just, the story I'd heard was that Suge and some other people confronted Eazy and made Eazy basically release you, D.O.C., and Dre from the Ruthless contract.
Correct.
That's the story.
That's true. That part is true.
Okay. So Suge did meet with Eazy and got Eazy to sign the release.
He met with both of them, I think. I think Jerry
and
Eazy.
Okay, Jerry and Eazy.
Excuse me, yes.
Okay. And Eazy signed.
I would have. Just to get him away from me.
Okay. But then afterwards, he went back and said, well, I was forced to sign.
What?
Right?
That's the story I heard.
That's the story. That's the story you heard. So you don't really know any information about it? What went on?
I don't go into it because it's hearsay what I got maybe, and I may be fuzzy on it. So I mean, I can get the story, but I probably can't get it for you right now. But it was a lot like that.
It was something like that.
Yeah, it was. It's a lot. It's very close. But I mean, for all of us, to come back 20-something years and ask us, everybody's gonna have a fuzzy recollection of a lot of things. But if you put it all together, you're gonna figure out what kind of makes sense and what doesn't. So yeah, but
Okay. So, but at one point, everyone was off Ruthless. Okay, and then on death row. But didn't Eazy still have contracts on everyone still? You know, the whole Dre Day made Eazy's payday. Like, wasn't he still making money?
Well, yeah,
off?
because he still had the rights, the royalty rights to most of the stuff, because he was he paid for all the studios for everything to be recorded and everything. So yeah, he still was making money.
So were
at
some
that
of your
point.
checks still going back to Eazy?
Still do.
Still do to this day.
Yes.
Like, were you because you were never signed to death row, were you? Or you were?
Technically, no.
Okay.
I
Well,
never signed a contract.
Okay, but you were singing on some of the songs.
Yes.
I definitely remember that. What were the early death row days like?
I have to say fun.
Okay.
I mean, we were the hottest thing on the West Coast. Everybody, when they came here, we saw everybody in the studio. We used to call it Cram Am because you couldn't move. You were seeing stars from everywhere.
Right, because you're talking about Can-Am Studios.
Yes,
You
it's
saw
Can-Am.
Cram-
But we started
Cram-Am.
calling it Cram-Am
Right.
because every time you go, you would see everybody who wasn't even on our label, who was trying to get off their labels to get on our label.
Right. Yeah, I mean, death row was the hottest thing in
It
the
was,
world.
and half of us, we didn't even have records out, and we were driving $100,000 cars. I mean, Suge put an image above everything, and he was whoever was on drugs and was doing, he was trying to clean them up. You know, in the early, he was really trying to give this big facade of, you know, we're this, and
I mean, why do you think that Suge, you know, got to go from being a bodyguard to suddenly an executive, and him and Dre were co-owners of Death Row at the time? Like how did he parlay that situation?
I think because he David Kenner taught him how to read.
Wait, David Kenner taught
Suge how to read.
Suge didn't know how.
The contracts.
Oh, read the contracts.
Yes, and that helped tremendously because then Suge knew what to go in to the Jimmy Iovines and say. And you have to remember when they went to Interscope was biggest act was Geraldo. So
Geraldo, yeah.
Geraldo.
Yeah.
They kind of
Rico
needed.
Suave.
Yeah, they were on their way
Out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you bring a Dr. Dre and you got all this heat, you know,
It's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
Okay.
So that's what it didn't take much.
Okay.
We just took a couple of meetings.
And then boom.
Oh, if you'd have heard the music.
Death Row.
I mean, we were doing the music at home in the studio, so Dre would have people come. We always had a house full of people and party, and then because he was testing his new music, and he would go by what they, you know, how they got up and party to it, and we were partying to it before it ever got to the. I mean, we was in the house with our hand all the time, so he knew, this is a hit. He knew. He tested his music on just whatever we played. We didn't even play top 40 or anything. We played Dre stuff when you came to the house. That's all you heard.
Sure.
You didn't need to.
Now, by the time Death Row was up and running and stuff like that, were you and Dre still together, or did you guys start to go your separate ways?
We were still together.
You're still together.
We were still together.
Okay.
In the beginning stages of Death Row, we were still together.
Okay.
Check it out. You're listening to the Vlad Couch, and today we're sponsored by Mafia 3. Picture this: 1968, New Bordeaux, Louisiana. The rules of organized crime have totally changed. After years of combat in Vietnam, Lincoln Clay knows this truth. Family isn't who you're born with, it's who you die for. When a surrogate family, the black mob, is slaughtered by the Italian mafia, Lincoln builds a new family on the ashes of the old and blazes a path of military-grade revenge through the brutal criminal underworld responsible. This is Mafia 3. It's available October 7th on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. But guess what? You can enter to win a free copy of Mafia 3. Just go to mafiagame.com/thevladcouch for a chance to win. That's Mafia 3. Pre-order now on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Available October 7th. Rated M for mature.
You sang? Did you sing on the Chronic?
I didn't. I didn't get on the Chronic. I got on the Dog Pound.
Dog Pound, yeah. Let's Play House.
Let's Play House.
Yeah. There was obviously at Death Row, there was a street element at the label.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's just like it was with Berry Gordy, Puff
Yeah.
Doggy, Puffy. Come on.
Yeah.
You have to, because in order for you to, when you have product, you have to control the product. And in order to do that, there has to be a mindset. And that's with corporate as well. Corporate will threaten your job in a minute, and you won't eat. So to me, it's the same gangster. There's no different in a gangster. It's just the way they do it.
Sure.
And I'm sorry, that's just what I think. You have to be able to control your people. And now, I'm not saying that it was right the way everybody did it, but you guys have to know that these boys started feeling empowered and started making mess where mess shouldn't have been. And then he'd have to go clean it up. These boys started really feeling themselves. And so it created chaos where sometimes it didn't have to be. Funny story, Nate Dogg went and he robbed a Taco Bell.
Nate Dogg robbed a Taco Bell.
With $15,000 check in his pocket from Death Row. But you never read about it. You never heard about it, right?
And
but I'm just saying.
Okay, so and Death Row got him out of that situation?
Absolutely, and you guys never heard about it. Cleaned it right up. Bone Thugs and Harmony. Eazy did a lot of covering up because these boys they had a lot of money.
Yeah.
When you got a lot of money and you do what you want to, you become empowered with that. And everybody, we were just messing up like me. I want to tell you what I would, they saved me from doing 3 months, 4 months.
For doing what?
Well, I didn't know you couldn't get in a taxi cab with a gun in your purse.
Okay.
In the back of a cop car. I got out of the taxi, and then I got in the cop car because they were going to take me through the gate, but I didn't know that they search you.
So they found the gun on you?
Yeah, but it was mine, registered and everything.
But you didn't have a carry permit?
Not concealed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Concealed carry.
Yes, I did. And then I get to the court wait. I get there and they go, okay, we're going to have to do, she's going to have to do 3 months. Now, Suge was just coming in the picture a little bit. And when we called him and we told him she's probably going to have to do 3 months, and Suge was like, what? So he sent an attorney up to the court, saved me and everything. So I get in there and I'm standing before the judge and I go, I have a question, and I raise my hand. And the judge says yes, and I said, do I get my gap back? And the attorney just grabbed his head like, oh my God. I didn't know. I thought after you go through all that, they give you your gun back.
Right.
But they don't. They don't. But anyway, yeah, they saved us from a lot of, really. Where we were having fun. We were young. And a little irresponsible every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel you.
And you guys didn't even hear about that either.
Now, when did you and Suge start to become close?
Probably around right after my son. After I had my son, the year about that, and I couldn't get Dre to. He was just doing his thing, and I'm still waiting because we're engaged. I got this big old ring, and I'm thinking one day he's gonna settle down and we're gonna make this work. And I just had this baby. I felt like I'm by myself, and so one night I couldn't find him, and I called Suge and I said, listen, I need milk and Pampers. I didn't have any money to do that, and I didn't want to take my baby out. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, so Suge actually sent somebody to bring me money, So I was like, thank you. And then when I would do shows, Dre would be all cuddled up in a booth. My show, he's my boyfriend. And Suge would have to take these girls, and this wasn't even his club, and tell them, you got to get out. He was just, he started saying that this man is mistreating this girl, and she's trying to really be with you. And so every Christmas and every birthday for like about a year or two, he would get me like jewelry, and I would say, Suge, I can't accept this because I have him and you're married. He would go, no, it's for me.
Suge was married at the
He
time?
was married to Sharita. Okay. And I said, well, I can't. He said, it's from both of us. It's okay. I said, oh, okay, we'll tell her thank you and everything. So she must have thought I was really crazy when I would see her and go, thank you so much. She probably didn't know what I was talking about as I think about it. But he worked on me, and it's just eventually, and then he was a confidant, and I would say, well, I don't know where Dre is, and he would go, well, I do, and even if he would set me up sometimes, because I kind of think now he was sending the girls to Dre. Maybe, you think?
He was manipulating the situation
a little
bit?
Yeah, but I was just too naive at the time to even think about it.
Okay.
So it really ended up happening, but it wasn't like I rolled out of bed and didn't clean my sheets. No, that didn't happen.
Okay. Were you still messing with Dre
No,
after you started?
No, I went away. I went away to 2 places, and I was gone maybe about, I'll say 2 months, maybe 2 months. And I came back and they said, "Oh, Dre's engaged." To who? And they told me her name. She had this big ring already. I was like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess that's it." Me and Dre talked one night. I went back. He said, "Okay, let's make it work. We're going to do this." I said, "Okay, but she has to go. I'm not going to, you have to get rid of her." So I moved back into the house again.
After he was engaged to someone else?
Yes, I moved all her stuff out.
Okay.
Moved my stuff back in. And stayed, and it took about 2 weeks. I said, "Okay, the first night you don't come home, I'm out here." He didn't come. I put my Mary J. Blige on, called the moving truck, and I was on my way. And I only met him one time after that. We met at Duke's in Malibu where we could talk, and you know what he said to me? He said, "Well, since you don't want to get back and do this and do that, why don't you be my mistress? So
Okay.
you're going to marry her, and I'm going from fiance of all these 9 years to being a mistress? No, I'm not." But he was sleeping with her while we were still off and on. And me and her had a few words at one point. So,
This is his current wife?
yeah, we had a few words. She threw all my baby's portraits away, all my memorabilia. When she moved in, I didn't throw her stuff away, but she threw my stuff away.
Okay.
So,
Now, did Dre know that you were messing with Suge?
I'm sure after that, the man was getting ready to get married. What did he care?
Okay. Well, I mean, it's a little weird, don't you think?
No, I don't.
That-
I watched this man sleep with all of our friends for the whole 9 years of our relationship. Mind you, never stopped sleeping with his baby mama. That when I met him,
Okay.
10 years they still slept together, and I was allowing her in my home.
I don't mean so much between you and Dre, but what about between Suge and Dre?
Because people keep saying, "Oh, you're the reason that they're not friends." That's not true.
Okay.
That's absolutely not true. And you can ask Dre, and you can ask Suge. I had nothing to do with that.
Okay.
Suge was frustrated with Dre way before.
What was he frustrated with?
Because he couldn't control him, I think. He couldn't get him to come to studio, and Pac was a workaholic, and Suge like, "Come on, man, let's get these, and look at Dre, come on, it takes 15 years to get a good professional help." He was like, "Man, I work at my own pace, I work alone." So, and I think that was irritating him, and Dre didn't like going to Cram Man with all those people. He's just not, he doesn't work well in that environment.
Yeah.
So I understood it, but I'm not the reason that they're not together. And no, I did not get with Suge to get back at Dr. Dre. Please, you guys don't think that.
Sure.
Because that's just not true.
Now, how long after getting with Suge did you get pregnant?
Ooh, he did 6 years, he did 6 years in the prison. What do you mean? That was,
So that was way later.
oh my God, that wasn't
Okay.
until 2002.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry, I don't
and
know
we
the
just
timeline
had
exactly.
sex. So,
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so that came. You got pregnant by Suge way after Dre
A
left and
decade
everything else.
later.
Okay, I understand. What was really the feeling when Dre said that he's leaving Death Row?
that's not how it happened.
Is that how it happened? How did it happen?
Well, it's in my book. Suge had a meeting with Jimmy, and he told Jimmy, he says, "Look, man, I can't do nothing with Dre. You're gonna have to take him off my hands, man. I just can't." But see, you gotta remember, Pac was fire, and he still had Snoop, so
Yeah.
he had
Yeah,
all
Dog
that.
Pound,
Yeah, and we
Rage.
and he had that in-house producer, so he didn't feel like he needed Dre at this point. So he called Jimmy, and they met, and he told him, he said, "You take Dre. You take Dr. Dre." And Jimmy was like, "No, man, think about it." And Jimmy's going back and forth, no, Suge, no. Eventually, Jimmy said, "Okay."
Well, but didn't originally Jimmy had Tupac, and then he wanted Tupac on Death Row, I had heard, right? Or did that not happen that way?
Jimmy wanted,
Because Tupac was signed to Interscope, right?
Tupac was signed to Interscope, but I don't know how that worked out because Suge promoted him strictly as a Death Row artist. So
No,
that's
I
what was
understand
so
that. No,
amazing.
I had just heard that that Jimmy felt that Death Row was a better place for Tupac than Interscope. You know, and
because of the style of music and stuff. Well,
Exactly.
yeah, I heard that, but it was all the same thing at that point.
Okay, so you're saying that Suge actually wanted Dre off of Death Row and on Interscope?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay, and Jimmy said, sure.
After a while, Jimmy finally said, okay, I'll take him.
I'll take Dr. Dre.
And then that's when the firm came out, and he remembered a couple flops that Dre had because he didn't know what to do with him at that
Right,
point.
that Aftermath Presents was probably Dre's worst project ever.
It was and I totally love his work, but jeez. And I kept going, you guys, he's gonna get it. He's gonna get it. And he did.
He definitely got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dre leaves Death Row to start Aftermath. Tupac is on Death Row. Mm-hmm. You actually sang on some Tupac songs.
Yeah, You Can Run the Streets with Your Thumb.
Right. Were you cool with Tupac? You guys were friendly?
Absolutely.
What do you think was your best Tupac story, being around all day?
Well, because every time we would see each other, we had this kind of ongoing joke where he was like 5'4". He was almost my height. So I would always say he was standing up, and I would always go, stand up when a lady walk in the room. And he would always go, lower your voice when you talk to a man. So it was funny every time we did it. It was just, he was really cool. I just loved being in his presence, his energy, because he always said something educational to you, just inspirational. He really was a very unique human being.
Any stories of Tupac wilding out or anything else like that?
Pac always did. Pac was, he had short man syndrome. Let's be brutally honest. I mean, there was times when he was ready to, go, because he,
Yeah, I didn't realize he was 5'4".
He was just, that was my favorite joke with him. But just as cute as pie, though, but he, of course he was
I just looked it up. They're saying he's 5'9".
I assure you that Pac is not 5'9".
Okay.
Is that Wikipedia?
Wikipedia is saying 5'9". I mean, I guess we'll never know. But
I'm telling you, he would be right here with me. Like, stand up with a woman. That's where I got it from.
Now, at one point, after Dre left, it seemed like people started, Death Row started dissing Dre. You know what I mean? Like Tupac started dissing Dre.
Well, because they felt like, I can tell you why, because Pac, which also did a few things about Snoop too, because he kind of felt that their loyalty, that they were, that they weren't loyal. And that was all it was. It really wasn't personal. It was just, it wasn't real, like, it wasn't violent like that, not to me. He was just saying, to be loyal, to somebody who's helped you. There's stories that Suge needs to tell on his own that he did for those guys that is not for me to say. Mm-hmm. And it is what it is. And I think that's what Pac was more so trying to say without saying.
Sure. Now, I remember Pac accused Dre of being gay.
Man, those stories started way before him. So I don't even know. I don't think Pac started that rumor.
No? Mm-mm. Well, but Pac kept it going.
Well, he may have kept it going, but he didn't start it.
I mean, any truth to any of those rumors, from what you know?
Can't say that I seen it, but it's in my book. And he didn't start that rumor. He didn't.
So what did you say in your book?
You have to get the book. You gotta get this book.
So at one point, Corrupt left, I think after Dre, right? Snoop left.
Snoop left right after Dre. Corrupt and everyone else followed.
Really?
Actually, the last one that was...
I just interviewed Corrupt. He told me he left first.
After Dr. Dre left, I was the first one to leave. Not Snoop, not Daz, nobody. Me, I was the first one to leave from the dog pound.
Right after Dre left.
Right after Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre left, then I left.
Not that I
after
remember.
Dre. Well, after Dre.
Snoop was the next one to go because Snoop and Pac was still here. Snoop should have been the next in command, we all felt. Mm-hmm. But it didn't. And then they all kind of went with him, so maybe, I know Corrupt left in that, and then Daz was still kind of on the fence. He didn't really know, because he was more a producer, so at that point, he was just like, well, look, man, if I can still produce, then I'm cool with that. that, but and then he left, and then the Pac's what was Pac's he had I can't remember their names. Pac's
Outlaws?
group.
Outlaws.
Was it Outlaws? Yeah, and then they eventually left.
Well, that was out, and then Pac ended up getting killed.
Yeah.
What was it like during that time, during the whole East Coast West Coast beef? Were you around during all that?
Of course.
Yeah.
It was.
Like for example,
It was really sad because we honestly loved each other's music.
yeah.
That's what was really
Corrupt
sad.
will say
about
that.
it.
He said he loved Biggie's stuff.
We
He-
loved.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, we were closet listeners.
There ain't nothing we can do at that point but get down. So, we wasn't really thinking about none of that, but we loved Puffy and Biggie.
Yeah.
So we was like oh, fuck.
We did. We really didn't understand.
Well, what was the reason you think that Suge got on stage at the Source Awards and said
Did
like
you see our faces?
he said, if y'all don't want you see you all dance in your videos, come to death row, like that famous line right there. Did you have any idea why?
We had no.
What
Did you
triggered
see
that?
us? We're in the middle of the room.
Oh, so you were on stage?
No, we were sitting in the middle of the room. We had like 3 rows in the very middle,
Oh, right. Okay.
and the exit is way over there. When he said it, I'm Snoop, and we just looked like, cause now we got to get out the building. We had no idea he was gonna say it. We had no idea why he said it. But when I tell you the cars pulled up like we was like gangsters, it was skr, 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 skr. And Dre left me that night. I was like, oh, no, actually here. And then he did grab me and he threw me in the car with him. And he was like, come on. And we had to get to our rooms, yeah. We had no idea he was going to do that.
Right. And I remember Snoop got on stage and tried to kind of, y'all ain't got love for Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, like.
Yeah, just try to calm it down. Because we didn't know he was going to do it. We don't even know why he did it.
Well, and then after that, the shooting happened at the Dog Pound video set, right, in Brooklyn. And then at that point, I felt like it was on.
Well, I think it became personal between somebody because then that's when it got all bad.
What was really the feel during this whole kind of, time? I mean, did it, because obviously, people go side with Suge because it's death row, but were people trying to fix it at all? Because I mean, if Suge and Puffy did a press conference together and said, listen, we squashing all this, we got too much money to make, too much good music to make, blah, blah. But, it didn't seem like, I mean, I know that never happened.
No, but it wasn't. We didn't take it personal. We don't really know, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know what Puffy and Suge's issue was, to be honest.
So you never talked to Suge and said, hey, what's your issue with Puffy?
I mean, I just probably don't recollect what it was, but no, I don't. We really didn't. We was by that point. We were all trying to go, what is going on? Because we just loved music, so it's. Well, they tried to tie in when Pac got shot in New York.
Yeah.
They tried to, but it's just, there's so many stories to that. I don't know that either. But I don't know. It just got all bad. I just hope rap doesn't go back to that.
So, eventually, all the original people left Death Row.
Yeah.
Everyone was gone.
Everybody was
Nate
gone.
Dogg,
Everybody.
Rage. Everybody, and Suge kept trying to keep Death Row, alive. He brought in some new people. I think like Crooked Eye came in the picture. That's a friend of mine. I think The Realist. I think there was like some white rapper that came in, and so forth. But I mean, the magic was gone at that point.
Oh, absolutely. I told him, I went in one day to the prison because my days of visiting were so funny, huh? My days of visiting were Friday and Saturday. Someone else had Thursday and someone else had Sunday.
Other women?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So Suge was juggling multiple women while still in prison.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So on my days, I went in one day and I said, listen, man, I think you should just Graceland Death Row right now. Just Graceland it. And he didn't understand what I meant. And I'm like, like Graceland, like Elvis, he's dead. Shut it down. It's worth more if it's harder to get to than it is the way you want to do it.
Right.
So he goes, yeah. Then he brings in one of his people, and they convince him that that's a bad idea. And then years later, he came back and he said, I should have listened to you.
I mean, it seemed like Dre and Suge just did not like each other.
After a while, that's absolutely correct. But it wasn't Dre who took a disdain for him first. I can honestly say that.
So you think Suge was the one who started the animosity between the two?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Dre is a very meek person. He doesn't, like he says, he has very few friends in this business.
Yeah, I know he has a small group of friends that he messes with, and that's it. Yeah, I know that for a fact. So, Dre went and started Aftermath. Mm-hmm. Became very successful with that.
Uh-huh.
Suge, I believe, filed for bankruptcy at one point.
Yeah, that's when he didn't tell me, gotta get the book.
Yeah.
That's when it got all bad for me. Well, actually, that's not when it got all bad for me. He had a baby a year after my baby, and that's when I said, okay, gotta go, can't take this no more. And then
So were you and Suge like a serious couple at that point?
Well, after he got out of prison, after I waited all that time and went against all my people and lost most of my friends, which I didn't have a lot anyway, but because people felt like, oh my God, I can't believe she stayed with Suge. Okay, take it as it may. I was trying to, figure, well, I'm here. I did all this time with you. I did everything I was supposed to do. I didn't know I was being used at the time. But I did. I tried for about 3 years. And then after it was worse.
Suge has generally been portrayed as like the boogeyman, of hip hop. It's like, oh, Suge's coming, we out. Like that type of thing. I mean, how, but, a lot of these people don't really have a personal relationship with Suge. As someone who's known Suge for this many years, you guys have a child together, how warranted is that, is that image?
You mean what, him being a father or him being
is he really like the scary guy that everyone portrays, or do you think that he takes that image and tries to run with it and uses it to his advantage?
I think he's always taken it and made it bigger than it really is. I've always thought that. I said, no, one man can do this.
Yeah.
But as far as him being a father, he stalks my life to be in my daughter's life. Which when I would run away, I would try and hide out for 6 months at a time. He would still find us. So I finally said, you know what? He has every right to have a relationship with his daughter. Me and him don't have to get along, but it's not fair for me to do that to her. And as far as him, back in the day, he was just generous, to a fault. Mm-hmm. I remember people calling at 3 a.m. saying, yeah, my mom's house in foreclosure. She's going to lose it by 6 o'clock tomorrow. Can you help? He got out his bed, went and took money to save their parents' home. Really. Now, mind you, I don't know what the return on was at, but you had to gamble. You know what I mean? But if you can call somebody at that hour of the night and do that, then you have to know that there's consequences. People took their chances. And that's just what it was. Sure. And I think I didn't want any more, what is it called? I didn't want any more favors because I started realizing, hey, for every one favor, you want 6. Mm. And I said, no way. You know what I mean? Once it clicked to me, like, this, he want to tie you up for, he'll feel like you owe him like a real gangster. You know what I mean? You can never pay a gangster off because he's always going to keep, Right. I'm like, oh, man, I can't do it. So, and I didn't want to live in fear anymore. And I didn't want my daughter to live in fear. Mm-hmm. And that's, but as far as him being the boogeyman, he was, Yeah, absolutely. Sure. It took a lot for me to say, is he there? Because I didn't want to go. I said that I may have to go and take my daughter to the prison once a month, and I vowed I would never do that. But then, how else will she see him?
Suge was involved in a number of altercations after death row. I mean, there was the shooting at Kanye's party. There was a bunch of fights he got into. He just got shot at the Chris Brown thing,
Were you guys in contact during this time, or?
I'm always contacted when something bad happens. Media finds me. Me, Suge don't talk like you think, but since my daughter has her own phone, he does reach out to her. And every now and then how's my daughter and what is she and stuff like that. But I don't go to his bedside. I'm not his girlfriend. I don't, however do people's like, how is he doing? I said, I guess he's great.
Sure.
But other than that, I don't know. Like, some of the questions they're asking me about him from the last 10 years since we haven't been, I don't know that Suge. I don't know the last 10 years Suge other than the fact that he stalks me to be in a starter's life.
Right.
Yeah.
You of course heard about what happened recently.
Yes.
With Terry.
Terry Carter.
Yeah, Terry Carter. Did you know Terry?
I think I remember Terry from a long time ago.
Okay. What's your take on this whole situation?
I think it's ironic.
How so?
A man goes through his whole life with all these speculatory things that have happened, and just in that split second, that's the decision that actually sums up your whole entire life. You've been served 15 lives. You've been to prison. You've done prison time. You've been shot a numerous amount of times. You beat jail time a lot. And then all of a sudden, in a split second, something that you probably didn't even intend to do happened. It's just ironic. And here you now are fighting for your life for something that you probably wouldn't have intentionally done. Do you know what I mean? It's just ironic how the universe will serve you.
We talked to Yella a couple of weeks ago, and he wasn't there or anything else like that, but his take was Suge probably shouldn't have shown up to a place where Dr. Dre was.
Dr. Dre was there?
He wasn't there, but the story, and I don't know how true the story is, but the alleged story was that Suge went there to try to talk to Dre because I guess Suge was being portrayed in the N.W.A. movie, but he wasn't part of the movie and so forth. No?
I can say this. Dr. Dre would have never met Suge Knight there. It just didn't happen.
Okay, so the story you heard is different.
No, but I know Dre. Oh, I did know Dre.
You did know Dre.
And I don't think that part of Dre's changed.
Right.
He is not going to meet Suge in Compton. Right?
Right.
That just doesn't make any sense.
Based on what you know about the story, about what happened, you think that Suge's going to get off, or do you think that these chain of events, and it seemed like he's been beating the system so long that usually it catches up to you sooner or later.
Well, the funny thing is, and there's two cases, remember? Because the first one was the robbery of the camera.
Right.
And you were on probation from that.
Right. But, a camera robbery is not that serious.
But you were on probation when you did that.
Yeah.
And then here you are here. So, we can keep acting like it's not there, but it's there.
David Kenner is his lawyer also, which is very interesting. Same guy from the beginning.
Yes. But that's why I say it's so ironic. Because you got to remember, the first time he did the 6 years that I did with him.
That was over the kicking of the...
Yes, but you have to remember, he didn't go to jail for kicking him. He was already on probation that he owed 5 years to 2 years ago and didn't make that 5-year transition. So that's why he went.
Right.
Who knew? So he keeps bargaining and bartering these deals. And now it's a different time. He's an old man. I told him, I said, you're an old man. I told him, you need to sit down. It's a different breed of kids out here now.
It seemed like people go to Suge when they feel they're owed some money and they can't get it, and Suge comes in and gets their money for them. Is that essentially Suge's kind of role? Because from what I understand, he kind of kept doing that after the fact.
It's been what he's done probably his whole life.
His whole life.
That's why when you say bodyguard, I go, yeah. I'm I'm here, I got you, but I want my $300. Now I'm just saying 300. There might have been more. I'm just don't want to figure out, but yeah, that's what I've known him to do for ever.
Yeah, but you know, after a while, it becomes harder and harder to do that.
Well, yeah. Did you pay attention that now we have cameras and technology and DNA and we have tracking devices, our phones.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot harder to do that.
Yeah.
You know, come on. In the 80s, we didn't have all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
You could. It's all like urban legend.
Oh, wow, yeah.
You know, like the whole story with Vanilla Ice and everything else like that.
Right. See, you can't really prove any of that. These days, it's right there for you.
It's right there for you.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the N.W.A movie?
I haven't. I didn't even want to get the script, but I heard I wasn't in it, so I was
you're not in it?
I was told that.
Okay.
Which I'm really happy about.
Okay, so you didn't want to be in that movie.
No, that's Cube's version of his life.
Oh, so N.W.A. is, well, isn't Dr. Dre one of the executive producers also?
Yeah, but why would Dre put me in it?
Okay.
I mean, because if they start from where they start from, I was just a quiet girlfriend who got beat up and told to sit down and shut up.
Are you going to watch it when it comes out?
Absolutely.
Because you were part of it.
Yeah, but they may not start from there.
Yeah.
You know, it was very early. They may start from the good part. Mm-hmm. You know, you're not going to get, my part has no value to probably what they really want to talk about unless they want to talk.
Okay.
I don't know.
Sure. You know, Dre became the first billionaire, I guess, in hip hop.
Technically, no. Yes, he did. I have my t-shirts. They're called Billionaire X. The Billionaire's X.
Okay.
I should have brought you one.
Sure. The Billionaire's X.
Yeah.
So when you say technically no, what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'll say he's a billionaire.
Okay. Do you guys ever talk still? I mean, you guys have a child together, obviously.
But he's 24. He has his own telephone. He has a job. He's a great kid.
Yeah.
Great kid. Whom Suge Knight did not raise, for the record.
Does your son and Dre have a close relationship?
Yeah, they do now. My mom died and Dre came to his aid, so I'm grateful.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Does your son or your daughter have any plans to do music?
My son wants to score music and my daughter sings like a bird, and they love each other to death. People think they're supposed to be the Hatfields and the McCoys, but my babies love each other. Okay. I'm lucky.
Right. But has Dre ever worked with them musically, or?
With my son?
Yeah.
Yeah, they go in the studio and do stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's pretty cool.
It is pretty
cool. And he
cool.
looks just like him, so.
So, what do you have coming up next?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, finally, you want to talk about me? No. I have a single out called It Still Hurts. I have a dance track coming out with Crystal Waters.
Ah, dope.
And Dave Day produced it. I have my book, I want my book to be like on the bestsellers. You know, I'm really trying to get it right. So.
Is the book out already?
No. And I'm glad.
Oh, so when you said read your book.
No, I want you to. I want you to read my book.
Okay.
And
No, it's a tell-all pretty much?
No, it's not. It's about me. It's really just about like little stories that I'm giving you here.
Yeah.
That are just like backstories and, you know, like having all of them at my baby shower. Like having the DLC, Eazy-E, everybody at my baby shower. So cool. And I got pictures and us. It's really cool. I have my t-shirt line, which the Billionaire's X. I'm telling you, it's genius. Because I am the X. How many colored women can say that? Not many.
I mean, maybe Oprah's X.
Beyonce?
Stedman, maybe?
Stedman?
I don't know. Is he still with Oprah?
Well, you know, eventually the next is the X, okay? The next is the X.
Right.
Always. So,
always.
You know, the t-shirt's going to go.
Okay.
But it's good.
You had one album or two?
I had two.
Two albums. Both on Ruthless?
One was on Death Row. One was on Ruthless.
Right. You came out one album on Ruthless, one album on Death Row. Why wasn't your album on Death Row really pushed like the other Death Row albums?
Because me and Suge didn't agree on my songs. He said that I was writing a lot of them about Dr. Dre. That was probably true. Because I was still in an emotional state, and most of the songs that I had started writing many years before I got with Suge. You know what I mean? And I wanted to use them because I thought, this is how I felt. And Suge he took like 4 of the best songs off, and I was just like, well, you know what? And then in every interview, he wanted me to get in interviews and be like pushing Suge Knight, Suge Knight, Suge Knight. And I said, well, that has nothing to do with Michel'le and with my project.
Right.
It just didn't. And so we kind of butt heads, and you know what he did? He stopped the money, and when you stop the money, you stop the what? The publicity.
Right.
So I just stopped going on talk shows and all that, and it was over. And then I just said, oh, well, forget it.
Okay. Now, that album came out what year?
98.
98. It's 2015, so you're talking about 17 years later. Have you put out any music from now until then? I mean, obviously now you got some stuff out, but that's 17 years. Someone who's extremely talented, an incredible voice.
I went reclusive. I keep going reclusive. This time I'm not gonna do it anymore.
Okay.
I'm not, because I got on the show and I kind of
R&B Divas.
I got on R&B Divas, and I was able to just be me, because it was visual. And I was like, oh my God, I'm hiding from myself, and I would get anxiety and depression, and I went through everything, and just the whole idea of trying to self-medicate, but hiding was not.
Self-medicate how?
Yeah, how you just sit there and you'll drink, or you go out with your friends and you smoke a little Modesmo. None of that was working.
Right.
And I'm going, well, this stuff is just depressing me more. But so I went to the doctor, and then I started going into therapy, which tremendous. I wish my color people, my culture would gravitate to it. It's helpful. It's really probably one of the best things I did. And getting myself together, because I was like, I don't want to go reclusive anymore. I don't want to go reclusive. And because I did it twice. So I can't keep doing that, because it's just not helpful. It's not healthy. And so now I'm good. That's what the show did. The show opened me up. And even though I still get anxiety moments that are just bizarre.
Why did you decide to do the show?
Because when they first called me to do the show, I said no. I said no for weeks, and then
why did you say no?
Because reality TV wasn't something that I saw me doing.
Right.
I was a recluse, so why would I be on TV?
Right.
So then when we went and met with them, I asked them. I said, well, listen, this is going to be a nice show, right? About nice things. We're not going to be jumping on tables. And they were like, oh, no. So I still was telling my managers, no, I don't want to do it. So Kelly Price called me, and she said, you should do the show. I'm going to do the show. And since she was such a spiritual woman, I thought, oh, well, if Kelly Price is on the show, then of course we're not going to have any issues.
Well, I mean, how have you been supporting yourself all this time, though?
Well, I wrote my songs, so
okay,
I still get
you still get the
yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't like the deals that you signed off all your publishing and everything else.
No,
like that.
but in the bankruptcy, I had to give up quite a bit, which I explain in the book.
You filed for bankruptcy at one point.
No, I didn't.
You did.
Suge Knight
did.
did.
When Suge did.
Yeah,
okay,
and since I was fake married to him, I had to give up.
So what was this whole fake married thing?
You really don't want to read my book. I can't keep giving you all the good stuff. I was fake married. He was still married. He was still legally married.
Did you guys have a wedding, though?
It was in the jail.
Oh, so you went to the jail. They married you there. You signed paperwork and everything?
Yeah, I signed paperwork. And they told me it was legit. But it wasn't.
It was, because he was still married at the time.
He was still married at the time for another 2 or 3 years.
Okay, so did you guys get fake divorced?
No. Did you know the IRS, they don't let you do that? I had to really go through getting a divorce. 3 years legally.
A real divorce. So you were fake married, but real divorce.
But you have to get a real divorce. It's true.
Sure.
Because they say, listen, if you called yourself Mrs. Knight and enjoyed the good ones, you're gonna come on. And they really did. It was amazing.
I feel you.
Yeah, so I've never technically been married ever.
After you left Ruthless, and started associating yourself with Death Row and everything else like that, were you still in touch with Eazy at all? Or was it really like, okay, I'm on this side now, they're beefing with him, I gotta stay on my side? Or were you guys still cordial and so forth?
I think we were cordial, but I didn't see them as much.
Okay.
But when I did, it was hello and goodbye. I didn't see them as much at all
Okay.
at that point. And especially after Pac died, then I went reclusive, like right after, because it was just too much.
How did you feel when you found out about Eazy having AIDS?
Honestly, I wasn't shocked, but I didn't know much about it. I was terrified, and I still get tested every year because it's when I went to Dre and I said, dude, you know, you're doing the same thing. You should be careful.
Yeah.
And then he didn't want to, you know, so I became like, I don't want to sleep with you. You know what I mean? I got really terrified because, one, I didn't know about the disease. I didn't know if it just affected us.
Right.
So
Because it was kind of known as a gay disease.
that's
back
what
then.
they said,
Yeah.
but I didn't know him for being gay.
Right.
So I got really nervous about it, and I started doing my homework.
Yeah.
And I learned about it, and I respect it. Like, you know, like to this day, I just tell people it's serious. It doesn't discriminate at all.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I interviewed Yella a few weeks back. You know, because Yella was actually getting to the whole porn business. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah,
that.
he was, and made good money too.
Yeah, he did. And he told me that he was at Eazy's house filming a porno, and Eazy called him from the hospital when he had first found out and said, hey, be careful out there.
He didn't want to talk to me about it. And I talked to him on the phone when he was in the hospital. Not the Cedars, but the first hospital he was in.
Okay.
We talked on the phone. He said, watch yourself. I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, and I was at his house shooting a film. He said, watch yourself. I said, okay. You know, we didn't talk too much. You know, I wasn't expecting that to be the last time I talked to him.
Yeah.
And he didn't quite know what he meant, but he kind of knew what he meant. And he put the phone down, and then right after that, it was announced that Eazy was HIV positive, and then boom, he died right afterwards.
Well, because they said he had carried the virus for 9 years.
Eazy had it for 9 years.
They said the virus because it wasn't full blown. And see, now they're saying that there's a new strain that you only get it 3 years and you go. So I'm doing, see, I keep up with my homework. So he carried it for 9 years, they said.
Well, if he carried it for 9 years, there'd be a lot of women out there.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. I would have
Right.
been, I was like, oh my God, well, did you, Dre, sleep with the same girls that he was sleeping with? And then, because here's me. And I totally backed up off of sex. I
Really?
was good.
So you just stopped having sex
Oh,
after?
absolutely.
Yeah.
That was it for me because I was like, I need to really learn about this. I became terrified, like scared.
Yeah.
Like to this day, I still go every year and get tested.
Yeah. You know, Eazy, I interviewed Lil Eazy, Eazy-E's son.
Yeah.
You know, and he feels that, you know, that Eazy didn't contract AIDS, that, you know, someone had, you know, injected him with something or anything like that. You ever heard those types of rumors?
You know, I didn't because I don't know how you really, you know, I just knew that women was, you know, and I didn't know him for being bisexual, so I don't know about the shooting up, but I mean, if that's what, you know, I can't take anybody's.
Well, because, you know, because, for
thought.
example, Tamika is not HIV positive. None of Eazy's kids are HIV positive. And Eazy had a lot of kids. Like, how many kids did Eazy have?
Oh, I
Like,
don't know. He's running up there with Dre, though.
yeah, like 10 plus kids,
Yeah,
I think,
they do.
and so forth. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a sad story.
It
It's a sad
is,
story.
it
And I think, I mean, really, if you think about it, that's the only person in hip hop that's ever died from AIDS that we know of.
I can't think of him, but no. I think he was one of the first. That was the most.
Who else in hip hop died
I
of AIDS?
think he was. I think he was probably the most popular at the time when we didn't know anything about it, and it was funny because when he got it, people still didn't slow down. Like, sex just became even more irrelevant than it ever was. I thought it was weird.
Because Magic Johnson, you know, before Eazy died, Magic Johnson announced that he was HIV positive. You know, but it seemed like he caught it somewhat early on.
Right.
You know, and from what I understand, like the type of drugs that Magic originally was on, which is still kind of being used to this day, you know, like I had read that if you stay on the on the HIV medication, you will live as long as a person who's healthy. as long as you stay on the medication. Now, if you don't stay on the medication, then
You won't.
yeah, you
But
won't.
by the time he caught it easy, it was just too late.
So wow, so 9 years.
Yeah.
But I mean, how? I mean, 9 years knowingly?
He didn't know.
He didn't know. You know, Yellow was the only person to show up at his funeral. Did
I
you go
heard that.
Did you go to his funeral?
I didn't.
You didn't.
Because I wasn't invited, and I didn't know, since I was on the other side, I didn't know if it was appropriate.
How did did you talk to the other N.W.A people? You know, the other Ruthless people after that happened?
The only person that I talked to, I think Dre, but that was earlier, and
Like, what did Dre feel about it? Because
he
they
just-
kind of
he just couldn't believe it. Of course, like everybody else, he was just like, wow.
but they kind of hated each other during this time, right? Not really.
Dre don't really. He not like that. He don't hold on to.
Well, but he made Dre Day.
Yeah, but Dre not. Dre's not like that.
Yeah.
It was a record. It was a song. You know, Now, why didn't he go to the funeral? That was puzzling. Because he was really close to him at one point.
I mean, Ice Cube didn't go. Ren didn't go. Yella was the only one that went.
It was unfortunate.
I don't know if Jerry Heller went or not.
I don't think they wanted him there, but
Well, no, wait. But wasn't Jerry and Eazy still close the whole time?
well, yeah, but they were at the time that I was told at this point it was a little confusion about that wheel and where the money was gonna go. It was a little testy.
Gotcha. Do you have a relationship with Tamika?
I do not.
Okay, but she controls some of the
Yes.
music.
She controls what was left. Yeah,
Okay, but you guys don't talk.
I probably haven't seen her in 25 years. I haven't
Wow.
seen her in a long time.
Sure.
We don't have to talk. She just sends me my check and I say, thank you, universe.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Well, let's we'll exchange contact, and
Yeah.
when the book starts to come out, you can just hit me with it. Like an early copy. We can go through it. And
Yeah.
Do another little promo run.